It's Monday, November 17th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A driver goes the wrong way on a Dartmouth highway, causing a serious morning collision. A volunteer group search for the Sullivan siblings turns up various items.
Cloudy periods and chilly temperatures this week. Pretty typical for mid-November weather.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. More than 6 months after they disappeared, a volunteer group from Ontario was in the woods and waterways of Pictou County looking for any trace of the missing Sullivan siblings. With winter settling in, the hope of finding clues of their whereabouts is growing more desperate. CTV's Hafsa Arif now on what they found.
By early morning Saturday, teams were already moving from the Lansdowne Station Community Center, heading straight into the steep, water-soaked woods where Jack and Lily may have wandered.
The path has been very rough. The waters are high, the water's cold. We've had a lot of people slip, fall into the water. A lot of people are wet.
The search organization Please Bring Me Home brought in volunteers from Nova Scotia and Ontario, some with experience in long-term missing persons cases.
Various members of Jack and Lily's family reached out over the course of the last 6 months to us to get involved. The anxiety that is within them right now that we're coming into winter, and we felt that we could probably offer something.
The search team looked for any sign of the children.
We're basically looking for Lily's backpack. We're looking for boots. We're looking for clothing. We're looking for anything that they may have had with them. Lily's doll.
While they didn't find those, the search turned up a number of other items, including a child's t-shirt, blanket, and a tricycle. According to RCMP, none of it is relevant to their investigation. For friends of Jack and Lily's family, all of it has been emotional and overwhelming. Many have never taken part in a search until now.
It's definitely very eye-opening to see how difficult it is going through the land. Opens your eyes as to how it is very easy for something that could potentially be missed, because it is like a giant puzzle out there.
Family members walk the riverbanks too, stepping over downed trees, navigating steep slopes, and moving slowly through the cold November water.
There's two people that walk closer along the riverbeds, and then there's people stationed out along farther up through, so we're covering a wide area as we walk forward.
About 30 volunteers spent hours pushing through the cold on Saturday, hoping to find even a single item that could point to where the children may have gone. The group says they'll keep coming back as long as there are places left to check. Todd?
It sounds like there are many. Hafsa Arif starting us off in the news center on this Monday. Thank you. An early morning crash in Dartmouth sent 2 people to hospital with serious injuries. The collision on a highway brought the commute to a standstill after a driver was seen traveling the wrong way. CTV's Vanessa Wright has the details.
It happened just after 6 a.m. during early morning traffic. Halifax police received multiple reports of a driver traveling northbound on the wrong side of the circumferential highway in Dartmouth.
A few minutes later, they received reports that there was a motor vehicle collision near Woodlawn Avenue, near ramp 4, number 4 in Dartmouth.
The drivers of both vehicles were taken to hospital with serious injuries. While the highway was closed for several hours to make way for the investigation, police say a third vehicle was also hit, but those occupants were uninjured. Police wouldn't confirm a potential cause, but say nothing has been ruled out.
The matter is still under investigation, so I'm not able to provide any additional details as to injuries or the exact cause of the incident.
The injuries sustained in the crash are described as serious but non-life-threatening. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Dartmouth.
The family of a man whose body was recovered yesterday from the St. Croix River that separates Canada from the U.S. are speaking out tonight. They're concerned about police actions that led to the man entering the river. As CTV's Nick Moore tells us, the RCMP has asked the police watchdog to get involved.
The family of 41-year-old Mackay Thomas say they tried repeatedly over several years to get him help for addictions and that he was well known to police.
The family has questions about the safety of chasing Mackay in such close proximity of the river.
The incident unfolded on Saturday. The RCMP say they spotted a man in downtown St. Stephen around 2:45 p.m. who was wanted for unendorsed warrants. RCMP say officers approached the man who fled and entered the St. Croix River nearby. Police say the man swam to the middle of the river, appeared to struggle, went underwater, and never surfaced. The RCMP underwater recovery team recovered the man's body in the river on Sunday. Kelly Caldwell is Mackay Thomas's cousin and questions police protocols from this past weekend.
The family also has questions if enough was done to rescue Mackay, because he would clung to a buoy for 10 to 15 minutes in the water.
The RCMP say several agencies responded, including U.S. Border Patrol, the Canadian and U.S. Coast Guard, and the local fire departments in St. Stephen and Calais. The family says they were not notified Mackay was missing until later on Saturday evening.
The family also has questions on protocol for a deceased body. We had to stand outside with Mackay's body right here for over 2.5 hours, and there's just no dignity for us or for him, and it was heartbreaking.
The RCMP has asked the Serious Incident Response Team to review what happened. In a statement, the watchdog agency says it is considering the request. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. Stephen.
New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt says a new package is coming from the federal government to help offset losses in the softwood lumber industry. She didn't reveal any specifics, but she says the issue was discussed in a First Minister's virtual meeting today with the Prime Minister.
I was pleased to hear Prime Minister Carney state that a new package is coming that he described as significant. So our industry will be looking forward to hearing more details about that as quickly as possible.
Premier Holt is in Newfoundland with the Eastern Premiers and the New England Governors. She says they all acknowledge that the Canada-U.S. relationship is at a rather low point. We'll speak with former Premier of New Brunswick, Sean Graham, later about the risks facing the lumber industry and the possibility of the Sisson mine reopening. And there's more reporting on all this. You can find that at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. New Brunswick is on track to be a national leader in MS care. The province will be just the second in Canada to offer a test that will provide multiple sclerosis patients with results fast instead of waiting months. CTV's Laura Brown explains.
New Brunswick has some of the highest rates of multiple sclerosis in the world. About 2,000 New Brunswickers live with the chronic autoimmune disease. Normally, treatment and monitoring is determined with the results of an MRI, but a biomarker blood test can give clinicians more information and accuracy. That test is only done out of Ottawa. Until now.
So once we have an in-house, in the province, this test, when a patient comes to the emergency room, we'll set the blood test like any other blood test. And then we can have the results back in a timely fashion and we'll react on the treatment of this patient.
The test can show how much of the disease is in the nervous system, if there are advances, or if new symptoms are because of an infection elsewhere in the body. Neurologist Dr. Chatty Darwich says his patients were waiting 6 to 8 weeks for the results to come back from Ottawa, which delays their treatment.
It's a diagnostic sense in a sense that it tells us if the patient is having a true multiple sclerosis relapse.
So next year, the lab at the Chalmers Hospital in Fredericton will have the capability to do the test after a joint partnership with the two health authorities and diagnostics company Roche Canada. The cost, Health Minister Dr. John Dornan couldn't say, only that there will be savings.
The savings are in a more rapid diagnosis so that you are not waiting for an MRI. You have a test that gives you a result instantly. MRI is subject to interpretation and subject to delays. This gives us a more rapid quantitative response on where you are with your MS.
Over 90,000 Canadians are living with MS. The hope is that this opens the door for more biomarker testing in the province for other neurological conditions like Alzheimer's disease. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Here's a look at downtown Moncton right now. One of the spots in the province that saw snow, though it looks like, Kaylin, most of it's gone there at the Avenir Centre, but other spots it's sticking around.
Easy come, easy go this time of the year. But yeah, at one point, the Moncton Airport reported about 4 centimeters of snow down. Now, of course, with air temperatures above the freezing mark for today, there would have been some compaction, some melting of that snow on the ground throughout the day. And I know at some points as well, for parts of the region, that snow did turn over to rain as we went through the day. Taking a look at some initial snowfall reports, this is from Sunday into Monday morning. And yes, I do know that there were parts of the region that continued to pick up a little bit more wet snow throughout the day today. So these are sort of unofficial at this point in time. But you can see the bullseye was kind of up around the northwest of New Brunswick, with amounts ranging from several centimeters up to, in some cases, between 13 and 15 centimeters of snow. Might have been even more than that up in the very uppermost terrain, or the mountainous areas. Other parts of New Brunswick, you can see picking up, at least initially, a few centimeters of snow, and same thing goes for some areas of Nova Scotia. First thing this morning when I was taking a look through highway cameras and weather cameras available in the Maritime region, quite a few of them, while the roads looked pretty wet on the side of the roads, you could see there was a coating of snow from this low pressure system. Now, we did see the snow because we've got all this colder air pooled around us right now. And the low itself today was sort of stalled out over the Gulf of St. Lawrence. So we saw some further bands of rain and snow wrapping around it. That's beginning to break down to some scattered lighter flurries and showers this evening, and then those will become more spotty in their coverage moving through tonight and into tomorrow as that low pressure system continues to make its way up towards Labrador. In behind it, temperatures are expected to remain seasonably chilly throughout much of this week, and a couple days we've got like a low chance of a few flurries, but typically speaking, as we take a look at a snowfall outlook for the next 24 hours, not much is showing up here. Maybe a little bit more up in the higher terrain in the northwest of New Brunswick, up in the Cape Breton Highlands. Otherwise, the remaining flurries shouldn't amount to much. After that, moving towards the end of this week, the next weather system arriving Friday into Saturday time frame. That one looks like it's going to be mostly rain for the region, and I will have more details on the extended forecast coming up a little bit later on, Todd.
And a snow day for a good number of students up there in that Woodstock, upper northern New Brunswick.
I'm sure the roads were greasy and slick at a point in time. Yeah,
I'm sure. Okay, we'll see you for the full forecast later. Thank you. Police in Cape Breton are closer to installing cameras in downtown areas and outfitting officers with body cameras. The contract for the body cameras to be worn by the regional police officers in Cape Breton, along with in-car cameras, has been awarded to Axon. That's according to an update of the CBRM's Board of Police Commissioners today. Police Chief Robert Walsh said the contract for the stationary cameras in downtown has also been signed. Police are aiming to have all of them in place by the new year.
We're waiting on delivery, and we'll have to do it as a staged implementation. So we'll probably do a gradual rollout. It's going to involve training. We'll want to hear feedback from the members, but my hope would be before end of the year.
Today, it was also revealed Police Chief Robert Walsh will be retiring on New Year's Day. No reason was given for his decision to do that. Nova Scotia is cracking down on illegal seafood by launching a new compliance unit to monitor activity at wharves and in seafood plants. It will target unreported lobster and other catches, which represents millions in lost tax revenue. CTV's Jesse Thomas is in Yarmouth tonight with the details.
Nova Scotia is home to a lucrative lobster industry that represents $1.3 billion in exports annually. But the province estimates that $400 million, or 30% of the lobster caught in waters here, isn't being accounted for.
30% of annual lobster landings in Atlantic Canada go unreported. This represents up to $400 million in lost taxable income for Nova Scotia.
That's why the province announced they're standing up a compliance unit aimed squarely at stopping the illegal buying and processing of seafood on the shore.
Their mandate will be to visit every buyer and processing facility in the province, collect records, and make sure that our licensed buyers and processors are all on the up and up.
The federal government and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans handle enforcement on the water, while these 4 new provincial inspectors will help monitor things on the shore. It's something those in the seafood sector had been calling for.
There's going to be eyes on the wharf looking at each transaction. There's going to be eyes looking at the records that are going into the department, which we are by a regulation required to submit.
In DFO, I'm not going to speak for them by any means, but they base all of their scientific data and reports on the biomass that's in there. And if 30% of that fish is not reported, it throws all of the harvesting plans into question.
The province says the move won't impact the provincial budget. Smith calls it a net move, as all 4 investigators are moving over from the Department of Natural Resources. The province says it'll be watching closely for results. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Yarmouth, Nova Scotia.
A fatal attack that was vicious, cowardly, and fueled in part by drugs and alcohol. That from the judge who sentenced a man to a life sentence with no chance of parole for 10 years. CTV's Callum Smith has more on the 2023 killing.
Now 38-year-old Alexander Charles Howe hosted a small get-together with friends at his apartment here in Spryfield the night of August 15th, 2023. But tensions grew with one party-goer, 32-year-old Adam Jerome Dempsey, the men yelling at each other. Shortly after, though, they were observed hugging, saying they loved one another. All of this detailed in an agreed statement of facts read in court today. But shortly after 2 a.m.
We don't know exactly what happened in that moment, but whatever happened, Mr. Howe started stabbing the victim repeatedly, which ultimately led to, those significant injuries.
Stab wounds to Dempsey's head, neck, torso, and extremities. Dempsey slipped in his own blood trying to get away. Howe chased after Dempsey and continued the attack. He was charged with first-degree murder but later pleaded guilty to second-degree.
It was heinous, it was horrific, and a young man lost his life. The alcohol and drugs certainly were contributing factors here. Not an excuse, not a justification, but it does provide some insight and some explanation.
The defense said Howe had a difficult upbringing, that he was extremely intoxicated by cocaine and alcohol, and that he hardly knew Dempsey. A victim impact statement from Dempsey's sister said she's living in a horror movie and that her brother experienced it firsthand, and that he was senselessly and brutally killed, leaving his children behind.
Very tragic, very, avoidable, but unfortunately, this is what happened on that night.
The judge said while Howe can apply for parole in 10 years, there's no guarantee it would be granted, and if so, it'd be under conditions. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
No golf course will dig into a Cape Breton provincial park after the proposal was turfed by the province. Still, a rally was held yesterday in West Mabou Beach. Nearly 100 people gathered in Mabou to voice their commitment to protecting West Mabou Beach and other protected areas in Nova Scotia. Last week, you may recall, the province rejected a proposal to build a new golf course that would have included part of the provincially protected beach. Opponents are upset it was even considered and want assurances it won't happen again later.
We want is to close those legislative loopholes and protect communities from having to come out and be the ones to fight this every single time when park legislation should really mean something.
No further demonstrations are planned for the time being.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
With thousands of Canadians searching for a family doctor, some provinces are leaning more on nurse practitioners. On Prince Edward Island, there's a renewed shift from clinics with one family doctor to a more collaborative model. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
I'm just going to check your lungs, okay?
A nurse practitioner is running this checkup, pressing her stethoscope to a patient's chest. While their scope of practice varies from province to province, it's expanding, says the Nurse Practitioner Association of Canada.
In many jurisdictions, they're being recognized as primary care providers who can independently practice and who can independently manage a panel of patients.
The association's president-elect adds, generally, they can diagnose medical conditions, order lab tests, prescribe medications, perform some procedures, and more. Plus, they're playing a big part in a local and national shift away from a model where one family doctor sees most patients towards a more collaborative approach.
Prince Edward Island is certainly is leading the country when it comes to the shift and the implementation of interdisciplinary team-based care.
Behind me is one of at least 17 patient medical homes on the island. Inside, nurse practitioners work with family doctors, social workers, pharmacists, and other providers to deliver care as a team. The goal is fewer patients on wait lists and less burnout for healthcare workers. As Canada marks National Nurse Practitioner Week, some advocates want to see PEI allow them to run their own clinics independently.
NPs are then able to work outside of that typical 9 to 5 schedule that's enacted by an employer and set their own hours to better suit patient needs.
It's already in place in Alberta, with Saskatchewan also piloting a government-funded program. The aim is better access for all. Maria Sru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Still to come in your newscast tonight, a mix of scattered flurries and showers this evening. Kaylen will have the full forecast details. But next, hitting the road.
We don't see it as a risk to our fan base. And if anything, we think it's an opportunity to bring more fans.
The Q League St. John Sea Dogs will take some of their home games to Fredericton's Aiken Centre. I'll tell you what's behind the move after this. The Sea Dogs will be rushing up the St. John River to play a few hockey games, home games, in Fredericton. It's a chance to show off the junior game and test the waters for possible Q League expansion in the capital city. Here's CTV's Avery McRae.
32. That's how many home games teams in the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League play each season. But for the St. John Sea Dogs, only 29 will be played in the comforts of TD Station.
November 30th, we have the Capital City Series in Fredericton, the first time that CHL hockey is being, CHL regular season hockey is being played in Fredericton.
A total of 3 games will be played at the Aitken Centre over the next few months. Home to one of the country's top collegiate programs, the UNB Reds.
We don't see it as a risk to our fan base. And if anything, we think it's an opportunity to bring more fans, maybe a different fan base from further afield.
Over the years, the Sea Dogs and Reds have built a strong relationship. Several players have played for both programs, and who could forget in 2022 when then Reds head coach Gardner McDougall jumped behind the Sea Dogs bench to lead the team to its second Memorial Cup crown on home ice. But there are still questions as to the reason behind the decision. Officials call it a chance to grow the league and team brand, something Sea Dogs blog writer Jamie Tozer agrees with. But he also has another thought.
The Q is looking to expand. They're trying to expand into New England. And I think a lot of that New England expansion, one of the factors is that they've kind of run out of markets in Atlantic Canada and in Quebec to expand to. So Fredericton seems like a logical destination, but it's just the arena is kind of the big question.
In the past year, the Acadie Bathurst T-Tom moved to Newfoundland, leaving just the Sea Dogs and Moncton Wildcats in the province, while new rules to college hockey eligibility in the States has also had an impact. Could that lead to a new appetite to bring CHL hockey to Fredericton full-time?
Is there demand for this? I think there probably is. Would it be good for the community? I think it would be. I mean, so I think we're open-minded about maybe that's something that could be explored down the track.
Fans that really love the sport and support it and have seen success in their backyard with the Reds, potentially. I think potentially.
These games could be used to gauge the level of interest in a Fredericton team. But for now, it's intended to show off to junior hockey fans in the capital. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
All right, now wouldn't that be interesting? Still to come this evening, chilly temperatures continue through the region for the rest of the week. Kaylen returns with the full maritime forecast. Not a lot of folks sitting outside today. Big Gary, right back. Yeah, a bit of a chilly day looking towards downtown Sydney.
Yep.
A little overcast there.
Gray sky in the background. Throughout the weekend, of course, they had some rain. They had some periods of showers and flurries across parts of Cape Breton. Still chance of a few showers and flurries around the island and other parts of the region as we make our way through this evening and tonight.
So I know you start with the map of Canada.
Yep.
Go west to east. Normally, this is the time of year you may be seeing those big plunges in temperatures across the prairies. Not today.
Not today.
Wow. What a jackpot winner one city was.
Yeah, not today and not for parts of the prairies. And that is southern areas of Alberta and southern areas of Saskatchewan.
We'll see Calgary.
Yeah, we'll see in a moment, but there's a bit of a ridge in the jet stream that's built up through the south of Alberta and Saskatchewan, allowed for some milder temperatures. And yeah, that jackpot, Calgary right now sitting at 13 degrees. Hasn't quite reached northern areas of Alberta, though. You can see Edmonton sitting at 0. Fort McMurray at 2. Yeah. Yellowknife, we keep going further towards the north. -9 right now. We're reporting some snow. It's also colder through northern areas, Saskatchewan and Manitoba. It's showing up Thompson, Manitoba. Clear sky, but -7 being reported. Moving off towards the east right now, we got 2 degrees at Toronto, -1 at Ottawa. There's a chill in the air, of course, here in the Maritimes. St. John's currently sitting at 7 degrees, and up in Labrador, -1, snow falling at Labrador City and Happy Valley Goose Bay, sitting at +1, maybe seeing some snow or a mix of some rain and some snow. The position of that jet stream, there's that ridge in that milder air sitting in place, southern areas of Alberta and Saskatchewan underneath it. And then the jet stream kind of dips down into this trough across the eastern part of the country. It's allowed for some lake effect snow off the Great Lakes regions through parts of southern Ontario, parts of the northeastern U.S. And then, of course, we have that pool of colder air sitting above us right now here in the Maritimes, which is why throughout the day today we saw that mixture of snow and rain that this evening is diminishing to basically some scattered lighter flurries and showers. And the coverage of those will become even spottier, even more isolated around the region as we move through the overnight into the start of the day for tomorrow. In Tuesday's forecast, it's looking like it's going to be a mostly cloudy day. The cloud cover every once in a while could break up, so you catch some peaks of sunshine, a little bit of blue sky, and most communities will have a low chance of a shower or flurry drifting through. It'll be about a 20 or 30% chance, except a little bit higher for eastern areas of Prince Edward Island and Cape Breton. A higher chance there because the wind direction remains out of the west, and that colder west wind will help pick up moisture off the Gulf of St. Lawrence and increase the chances of a few showers or flurries as that brings that onshore around the east of PEI and locations in Cape Breton, especially Inverness and Victoria counties. You will notice the wind again on Tuesday. Fairly widespread gusts in the region between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour, combining with still chilly temperatures. Speaking of chilly temperatures, a lot of low temperatures tonight. New Brunswick headed down towards or below the freezing mark. Be careful about maybe any wet spots turning a little bit icy. And low temperatures for PEI, Nova Scotia, mostly 1 to 3 degrees. Tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick, high temperatures between 2 and 5, and then down through central and southern areas of New Brunswick, high temperatures tomorrow between 3 and 5 degrees. In Prince Edward Island, the high temperatures tomorrow, 3-4 degrees for most communities, looking fairly cloudy, low chance of a flurry or shower, and a blustery west wind. Cape Breton tomorrow with high temperatures between 3 and 5 degrees. On the eastern shore, between 4 and 6, and on the north shore of mainland Nova Scotia, closer to 4. Near 4 for Amherst, Parsboro, Truro 4 tomorrow. City centers Halifax and Dartmouth close to 5 degrees. 5 at Chester and Lunenburg. The Annapolis Valley will be chilly with high temperatures near 4. 5 at Digby, and on the south shore of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures between 4 and 6 degrees, including 6 at Liverpool and Shelburne. And in the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, we remain with chilly temperatures through to the end of this week. The next weather system arrives, looks like it's going to come in late Friday into very early Saturday morning for New Brunswick. That one mainly rain and showers, but in behind it, the chilly air returns, so it's a little bit colder again for the end of the weekend on Sunday, and a chance of flurries next Monday. For Nova Scotia in the outlook, high temperatures through the end of this week, mostly around the mid-single digits. The overnight low temperatures headed down towards, and in some cases, a few degrees below the freezing mark. It's cloudy periods on Friday, and then temperatures get a little bump up on Saturday, but it's because of the rain moving through. We saw that happen on Sunday this past weekend. A mix of sun and cloud for next Sunday, and then showers in the forecast for Monday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, we got high temperatures near 4 degrees on both Wednesday and Thursday, both days a mix of sun and cloud. Increasing cloudiness on Friday with the high temperature near 7 degrees, and some rain expected to come through on Saturday. Temperatures fall in behind that rain, so on Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, highs near 4, and then 5 degrees on Monday with a chance of showers. Todd.
Kalen, we have a little extra time here, so I want to ask you, those sea temperatures...
Yes, starting to come down, huh?
Starting to come down.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty high for this time of year.
Yeah, water's got a really high heat capacity, right? It takes a lot of energy to heat water up, and then it takes a long time for that energy to dissipate as well. So, yeah, it will take a while yet before they really get on the colder side. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll see you a little later in the show for the Wake Up Weather. Next, former New Brunswick Premier Sean Graham joins us to talk about, we'll talk about perhaps there's a deal for the softwood lumber industry, about the Sisson mine possibly reopening in the province, the New Brunswick deficit. Interesting conversation with him. We'll be right back with that.
Okay, so tomorrow on the show, we're going to give you a chance to win a $50 gift card to St. Louis Bar and Grill.
Plus, you'll be qualified to win a $250 one as well.
And you could win a pair of sunglasses to Vogue Optical. Good luck.
Welcome back. Eastern premiers spoke today with their New England counterparts over things as you would expect, tariffs, trade, lumber, and so on. It comes as major fast-track projects are being announced by Ottawa. Joining us to offer his insight on all this is former New Brunswick Premier Sean Graham. He is in the capital tonight, and it's nice to see you.
Great to see you as well, Todd.
Wouldn't you like to have been a fly on the wall in that conversation? I mean, after all, it doesn't seem like Ottawa and the White House are talking, so what could the governors and premiers possibly be adding to that conversation?
You know, at one time I was chair of the New England Governors Eastern Canadian Premiers Council, and times have changed since then dramatically. But there's not much weight, unfortunately, that the governors can carry and the premiers into the White House these days. The decision-making process seems to be centered at the top. And while, you know, it may get some good media airplay to bring the attention to the public, I don't know if it's bringing much attention to the tariff master in Washington.
Yeah, good point. We also heard from Premier Holt this afternoon saying there could be a package from Ottawa. The Prime Minister might announce something in terms of helping the softwood lumber industry in the province. Can you just speak to the importance again of that industry and the impact it has on the economy?
Well, New Brunswick's forestry sector is one of our largest economic generators for the province. And, you know, take small communities like where I'm from in Rexton. Delco Forest Products is a large employer. A lot of trucks on the road, a lot of people working on the mill. But those tariffs have impacted the company. You take a community like Chipman, where Irving is situated. That community today, it's the biggest employer in the region. And, you know, the mill in St. Leonard today produces enough lumber in 2 weeks to build every home in Atlantic Canada in 1 year. Wow. So our exports are critical. It helps the Americans rebuild after natural disasters. And, you know, those tariffs are a tax on the lumber products that push their prices up. So hopefully, you know, we'll be able to keep our industry afloat here in New Brunswick. And this budget today, nationally, is going to be a very important budget for our province and the forestry sector across Canada.
Yeah, of course. The Sisson Mine has been chosen as a fast-track project. Obviously, the federal and provincial governments want it. Folks in Millville, where the trucks would be running, they want it. But as we reported here the other night, the mayor of Stanley, among others, isn't so sure. Is this project a slam dunk, or is there potential it might not go?
Well, look, all signs are moving in the right direction on this mine. And New Brunswick has had a rich history of world-class mining operations that have been safe, that have followed the strictest safeguards protecting the environment. 30 years ago, mining in our economy in New Brunswick accounted for close to 7% of our GDP. Today, it's down to 0.5%. You know, that's half a percentage point, because we've seen the mining project in Sussex close, the potash mine, Brunswick mines in Bathurst, their resource depleted, so that closed down after generations of successful operation. And you have to remember that Fredericton is home to many mining engineers through the University of New Brunswick. And that's why I think that, you know, with the strongest safeguards put in place, yes, that there's a great chance of success, because we have the capacity, the human resource capacity, to make sure it's done safely and efficiently, and most importantly, creating high-value jobs for the province and revenue to pay for such important things such as healthcare.
Oh, sure, yeah, which just keeps, you know, that bill just keeps getting bigger. Do you think the federal government would have selected Sisson if they didn't think it wouldn't happen?
Yeah, well, look, we're on the list. Look, everyone saw probably during the Blue Jays playoff runs that great advertisement that Ontario was running for the Ring of Fire on their mineral resources. Right. Well, we have those same minerals here in New Brunswick. We're blessed with those resources. And Canada needs to be a reliable supplier of critical minerals, and New Brunswick can be a player on that world stage. Tungsten is the strongest metal in the world, and we can mine it efficiently and environmentally safely here in New Brunswick, and we can then secure the ability to have that product in a self-sufficient manner, because today China probably corners the market with tungsten at about 80 to 85% of the world market, and they've dropped the price to force other mines from being developed. Now today, with the federal government announcing a sovereign fund in the budget that's going to help critical minerals be developed, the economics, I think, will allow this project to come to fruition. And as I said before, the safety experts that we have in place will make sure that it's done in a much more stringent and better manner than we would see in development in other third world countries.
The province's finance minister revealed that balloon deficit last week, up over $800 million is the forecast now, 830 something, I believe. Look, can New Brunswick afford not to develop that mine?
We need to develop our resources to pay for our services. We have an aging population base today. You use 50% of your healthcare costs in the last 6 months of your life. And New Brunswickers want to make sure that the system's there to protect them when they enter into it. They've paid taxes all their life, and they need to make sure that the resources that we have in the ground help pay for those services that they require later in life. But, this project is more than just that. It's allowing us to use our resources to benefit the green technology sectors as well. This tungsten project and molybdenum will be able to be used in green battery development initiatives, future technologies that will be, much more important to protecting the environment. Well, these critical minerals today in Canada and here in New Brunswick will play a role in that, and it's important that we're self-sufficient in the development of it.
Former Premier of New Brunswick, Sean Graham, in Fredericton tonight. We appreciate your insight as always. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Todd. Have a great night.
We'll take a time out. We'll be right back with much more of your local news. In health headlines tonight, a new cancer report that experts say highlights a concerning trend in Canadian cervical cancer rates. CTV's Amanda Debison has more in the Monday edition of The Lifeline.
A Canadian cancer statistic report says the country may not reach its goal of eliminating cervical cancer by 2040. Data published by the Canadian Cancer Statistics Advisory Committee shows that after decades of progress in lowering cervical cancer rates, there's been a concerning plateau since 2005. Cervical cancer is caused by the human papillomavirus. The Canadian Cancer Society says the stagnant progress in reducing the disease is likely due to lower HPV vaccination rates, a decline in the rate of people getting screened, and gaps in follow-up care. A new study shows women eating ultra-processed foods could be putting themselves at a higher risk of cancer. According to the study, it shows a link between the foods and the development of precancerous colorectal growths in women under 50. Those growths can later turn into cancer. The study from JAMA Oncology included data from nearly 30,000 women. Diets high in sugar and artificial sweeteners were most linked to higher rates of adenomas, such as a polyp, that's more likely to turn into cancer. That was followed by diets high in sauces, spreads, and condiments. Finally, researchers have developed the first new type of malaria treatment in 25 years. New drugs are needed because parasites learn to adapt to older treatments. Testing so far shows this drug not only works well against malaria, it is also effective in slowing its spread. The next step is applying for regulatory approval. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
Katie is off, but we still have entertainment news, so here it is. The Cineplex theater chain is hoping the element of surprise will lure people back into theaters. CTV's Sarah Plowman has more on Mystery Mondays.
The plot twists before the opening scene. Instead of picking a movie, people can pick a mystery. They won't know what's playing until the show starts.
Sounds fun. I love it. I would totally do that.
Cineplex rolled out its surprise premiere last Monday in select cities from Halifax to Vancouver. The only sure thing is the flick is new and unreleased.
It's a fantastic marketing ploy and one that has been used by other chains.
An interesting effort on their part to try to give consumers a reason to go back to the theaters.
On the first Monday, the audience got a sneak preview of Eternity.
I'm Anna, I'm your afterlife coordinator.
A film set in the afterlife where souls get a week to decide where to spend eternity. At 12 locations, Cineplex says tickets sold out. Cineplex isn't the first to try this in Canada. Landmark Cinemas previously brought in its Monday mystery movies, and the Toronto International Film Festival has a secret movie club.
I think it makes going to the movies special again. Streaming has taken such a ding out of the theatrical experience that you need to do something to keep people interested.
Cinemas have struggled to bring people to seats as streaming has captured audiences. Theaters got a bump in revenue last year, but sales haven't caught up to where they were before the pandemic.
It's just the economics are just so favorable for the consumer to stream versus going to a movie.
But a promotion like this might help. It's not an option everywhere, like in Fredericton, but Cineplex is looking into expanding it.
The mystery would be fun and not kind of like knowing what you're doing, kind of like a surprise.
A little guessing game to start the week. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
I don't know. Would you do that? Caitlin, would you do that?
No, I would want to know what I'm going to see. If I'm going to make the commitment, get the babysitter, you know, do all those things.
Okay, so
got to know what I need to see.
A no from Caitlin on that. I'm undecided. Okay, but I do know what's on CTV tonight. In our business report, the Dow had a rough opening to the trading week, down 557 points. Experts say the housing market is stabilizing in Canada. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez with details on that.
Fewer Canadian homes changed hands last month compared to a year earlier. There was a 4.3% drop in sales in October, but month to month, home sales were up about 1%. Sales were up in BC, Alberta, and Quebec, but down in Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. The national average sale price in October was just over $690,000. Headline inflation came in at 2.2% in October. It was 2.4% in September. Gas was less expensive last month, which helped bring inflation down. Shoppers also got a break on fresh vegetables and processed food, but paid more for frozen and fresh chicken. A new poll by a group called Snowbird Advisors shows a 15% drop in the number of Canadians heading to the U.S. this winter. Instead, snowbirds who seek the sun will jet to countries like Mexico or Spain. The U.S. government's tariffs and treatment of travelers is turning Canadians away. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.17. West Texas Intermediate crude is down just 9 cents to 59.86. Western Canadian Select is up $1.55 to 48.45, and the TSX is down another 250 points today to 30,076. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Temperatures are down too. Hailing outside on the deck.
I was just thinking during that business report that Mexico or Spain sounds good right about now.
Right?
Yeah, it is colder out here in the north end of Halifax on the weather deck this evening, especially with the wind. And I think that's really what's happening to make an extra chill in the air right now across the Maritimes is this blustery west wind that really isn't going anywhere as we go through tonight and for tomorrow. Our viewer picture for tonight features some very cold-looking waters. This is from Groves Point in Cape Breton in Nova Scotia. It was sent in by Kyle Peterson. Of course, you can see the cloud cover there over top of those waters as well. So thank you so much for Kyle for sharing that. And tomorrow's going to be a chilly day for Groves Point. Mostly cloudy, low chance of a shower or flurry drifting throughout the day, and the high temperature near 5 degrees. Day planner starting off in the morning. Temperatures around the region ranging from a few degrees below to just a few degrees above the freezing mark. And again, these west winds will still be around, and there'll be some gusts through the day on Tuesday between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour as the high temperatures in the Maritimes mostly come up into a range of between 3 and 5 degrees. Fairly cloudy conditions expected for tomorrow. Get that low chance of a spotty shower or flurry drifting through, and the chill looks like it's going to remain with us as we move throughout this week. Todd.
Okay, Caitlin, thank you. We will see you tomorrow. Finally, for us tonight, it's Mission Impossible No More. Tom Cruise. He finally has an Oscar. The actor accepted an Academy Award, honorary award, at last night's Governor's Ball in California. In his acceptance speech, Cruise reflected on his love of cinema, paid tribute to everyone who makes films possible. Choreographer and actor Debbie Allen and production designer Wynn Thomas were also presented with honorary Oscars for their lifetime of work. Tom Cruise, in case you were wondering, has been nominated for 4 Oscars over the course of his career. He's never won. And that is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here at 11:30 with our late cast. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has our updates and the poll. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Until then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.